And the sooner you start, the better it is for you, because as I said, time horizon actually makes a lot of difference in terms of the returns that you can generate. In fact, one of my favorite quotes in stock market investing is, it's not the timing of the markets, but the time spent in the markets that is most important. Hello friends, my name is Vivek Agarwal. I am the co-founder and chief investment officer of Upwardly.in. Welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. Today I'll be talking about the importance of financial investments for budding entrepreneurs. I hope you find this useful. So essentially, financial literacy and financial planning is, while it's very important for everybody, but I think it's even more relevant in the case of an entrepreneur. Specifically, we're talking about people who, let's say, either have just started or people who want to start their own company in some time, right? Now, whenever you start a company, there is a period of time before you, let's say, raise your monies, and where, let's say, either through a seed round or through a Series A or a Series B, or let's say, before you get the money in from outside capital, you have to actually start on your own, whether you actually do it on your own or you are with a set of colleagues or friends that you've started your company. So you have to put some money on from your own books, right, into the company. And that's where the time where your investments that you have done in the past can actually help you. And so you have to keep it in mind that let's say the first fundraise where the outside money comes in could take at least 1 to 2 years in some cases, and that's where the time where you have to bootstrap your own company and you have to use finances from your own books, and that's where planning for that period actually comes in very, very handy. As we all know that investments can be done in various asset classes. There are asset classes which are suitable more for the long term, and when I say long term, you're talking about at least 3 to 5 years, right? And these asset classes typically would be equity, whether you are investing in stock markets directly, or these could be asset classes like, let's say, real estate or gold. These are asset classes which typically are suitable more for the long term. And then there are asset classes like fixed income products, which people know as fixed deposits or debt mutual funds, which could be used, which could be invested for, let's say, in a shorter period of time as well. One of the few ways, investments, as we say that, investments come from, whatever you have left, right, after you have, let's say, after you get your salary and you've done your expenses for the month, whatever amount is left is what you finally, save, and that's what you invest. Right. So from that perspective, one of the advices to people is also to save more, right? To not do expenditures on things that they sometimes feel that they need to, let's say, go out more, eat out more, or buy that new phone model, or let's say take that vacation. But if you are planning for a period where you will probably have no outside income and you have to actually kind of reach out to your savings, then it is very, very important that you have saved and invested wisely. And hence it is in the hands of the individual to actually save more, so that the more you save, the more you can invest, and that's the money that can actually be used much better in a period of time when you actually do not have any salaries, or let's say you need the money to run your company, to pay out salaries to other employees and things like that. So so while we talk about savings, investment of that particular saving is also very important, where you're investing. So let's say, for instance, if we look at the kind of returns various asset classes have given. So typically, let's say if you keep money in the bank, you typically if the money is lying in a savings account, you are getting almost 3.5% to 4% returns. Right. If you invest that money in a fixed deposit, then you actually end up getting something like close to 7 to 7.5. But after you have taken the taxes into account, this is basically like now then reduced to, let's say, a 2%, or let's say in the case of a savings account, or just 5% in the case of a fixed deposit. And this kind of percentages don't even beat inflation. So not only saving is important, in fact saving, I would say, is very, very important, but where you invest that money and how wisely you invest that money also becomes very important. So that's why saving into into products which actually give you better returns, are more tax efficient, becomes very, very important. And the sooner you start, the better it is for you, because as I said, time horizon actually makes a lot of difference in terms of the returns that you can generate. In fact, one of my favorite quotes in stock market investing is, it's not the timing of the markets, but the time spent in the markets that is most important. So starting early and starting and having some discipline about investing is very, very important. One of the best tools that is available right now these days for investors is the systematic investment plan, or commonly known as SIP for everybody. You can start early. You can start investing a portion of your money into these SIPs. These could be into equity products, and which should be for the long term, let's say at least 3 to 5 years. That's a very, very good way to generate much better returns than what you will get in your bank accounts. So essentially, another thing that becomes very, very important is let's say, for instance, you've been saving for your dream startup for the last 5 years, right? You've been investing systematically in the equity markets through mutual funds, and you have also generated some better returns. And now let's say the time has come where you can actually, start your own business, right? Or you can start your own company. I think one of the things that people make a mistake is that sometimes they keep their money invested in these equity products, all of their money invested in equity products. And as we know that equity products could be volatile, and when they need it in the next 3 months or 6 months, and if the markets are down, then they could actually lose some of the returns that they've generated in the past. So what we tell people is that once you know that, okay, the next 1 year to 2 years are very, very important for me, I need to use the money and my savings that are there. I have probably generated much better returns than I would have generated by keeping that money in the bank account. Then, one of the concepts that you use is called glide path investing, where you can actually, now that you've met your goals, you can actually now withdraw money from those goals and put that money into lesser risky products, let's say like fixed income products, wherein the returns are much more stable, and the chances of you losing your capital or losing your profits is very, very low, right? So that you can actually, since you've met your financial goal, you've generated, let's say, 15% return over a period of 5 years time. Now for the next 2 years you need a stable income, so you could actually withdraw your money from your equity investments, move that money into short-term debt, and then start taking that money on a monthly basis from those investments, and you can use that money to actually run your home, or let's say if you want to put that money into your business or into your startup, you can actually do that. And the other thing that I think is very, very important for entrepreneurs is that once let's say they started this company, they were bootstrapping it, so they were not getting any salaries probably for the next 1 or 1.5 years. But once they have raised some capital, I think it's also advisable for entrepreneurs to start having some kind of salary for themselves, and this salary is going to obviously help in their expenditures, their personal expenditures. Many of the co-founders are married, they have kids, so the expenses are there. The expenses aren't going to go away just because you started your own company. So if they start drawing some money as salaries, I think it's again becomes very important for these entrepreneurs to again have some kind of saving going through, because as we say, that it's never settled that once you've started your company, there is a lot of risk that you're taking, and hence it's always be good for you to prepare yourself for the future. So these savings that they have, and these investments that they make even while they're drawing these salaries, is going to probably help them in case of any emergencies that they might face in the future. So friends, I think this was helpful to you, and I think this would give you some idea about on the importance of saving and investments, and how this is probably going to help you in your startup journey. It is always advisable that if you are an expert yourself, then it's good, but then if you do not have the knowledge about this area, then you can always reach out to experts and people who can advise you on this. And we at Upwardly would love to help you if you really want our help on this. And thanks for watching this video. Have a good day.
You look actually, I got really nervous.